Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into something pretty wild, a blueprint for a whole new kind of digital society. It's called Synthsara, and it proposes a radical new way of thinking about our technology. Let's get into it.
So let's just start with the big question that really gets to the heart of this whole thing, a question about the tech we use every single day.
Right. And that's the absolute core of what Synthsara is trying to flip on its head. It's this idea of moving away from a model where we are the product, where our data is just being mined, to one where the tech actually works for us. Okay, so what is this vision really? Well, you can think of the Synthsara blueprint as being built on three main pillars that all connect. We're going to start with how it empowers you, the individual. Then we'll see how that scales up to the community level. And finally, we'll look at how all of that can help us coordinate on a global scale to tackle some of our biggest problems. So, everything kicks off at the individual level. Pillar number one is all about completely redefining our relationship with our own technology and even with the idea of value itself. This right here just lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the AI we're all used to. You know, the kind that's basically harvesting our data, working behind these opaque algorithms, all to serve corporate interests. But on the right, you have what Synthsara calls a steward AI. This is an AI that you control. A great real-world example is something like Nextcloud's open source assistant. It runs on your own hardware, so your data stays your data. It's a trusted guide, not a corporate spy. Okay, next up, the vision gets really ambitious and starts to tackle the very idea of value. Think about it. Our economy is fantastic at putting a price tag on things, but it's completely clueless when it comes to valuing things like caregiving or community building or contributing to open source code. So the worth metric is a proposed system to actually recognize and, get this, reward that kind of crucial work that currently goes completely unpaid. And this quote from the SourceCred experiment, wow, it just captures the sheer scale of this ambition. SourceCred was this project that figured out a way to reward people for contributing to open source projects based on how valuable their work was. So the goal here isn't just to, add another metric. It's to build a whole new economic engine that's based on meaningful contributions, not just on profit. All right, so that's the individual. Let's move on to the second pillar, because this is where things really start to connect. If you have all these empowered individuals, how do they come together to form empowered communities? This part is all about creating new ways to govern ourselves and share knowledge. So one of the biggest challenges for any community is making decisions fairly, right? Synthsara's proposed solution is something called reputation-based quadratic voting. Now stick with me here, it's actually pretty cool. The way it works is your first vote on an issue costs, say, 1 credit. But if you want to vote a second time on that same issue, it costs 4 credits. A third time, 9 credits. See the pattern? You can express that you feel really strongly about something, but it comes at a growing cost. This is genius because it prevents people with deep pockets from just buying the vote. It's a system that rewards conviction over cash. And look, this is not just some theory cooked up in a lab. This has been battle-tested in the real world. Gitcoin, which is this huge platform for funding open source software, has used this exact model to dish out over $20 million in funding. That's a massive deal, because it proves that you can fund public goods and make collective decisions without just a few rich donors calling all the shots. It's a real-world proof of concept for the Synthsara vision. And what about sharing knowledge? Well, the vision includes something called the Akasha Library. The best way to think about it is like a Wikipedia that's actually owned and run by its users. It would run on decentralized storage like IPFS, which is basically a peer-to-peer network for files, making it incredibly hard to censor or take down. The key idea here is that the value created by the community stays with the community. So, what ties all of this community stuff together? It's a governance model called Synthocracy. It's kind of a blend of the best ideas out there. It takes consent-based decision-making and combines it with a dynamic reputation system. And everything is transparently recorded on-chain, on a blockchain, so everyone can see it. The whole point is to build a system that's not just about majority rule, but about true participation and making sure no one gets harmed. Okay, so we've covered the individual and the community. Now let's zoom all the way out to the third and final pillar. How do we take this whole ecosystem and use it to coordinate on a global scale to tackle the really big stuff? I mean, this is where it gets really mind-bending. The idea is to basically create a global nervous system for humanity. Imagine real-time dashboards that are tracking things like the UN Sustainable Development Goals. You could see exactly where hunger is spiking or where disaster relief is needed most, and then match those needs with available resources instantly. We're talking about incredibly fast, super targeted global responses. And again, this isn't just a futuristic dream. We're already seeing the very first building blocks of this. You've got platforms like the World Food Programme's Hunger Map Live, which uses real-time data to get aid where it's needed more effectively. These are like the early prototypes for what could become a much bigger, more coordinated global system. So, what's the actual tech that makes all this global coordination possible? Well, it's a whole toolkit that's been developed for what are called DAOs, or decentralized autonomous organizations. You can see some of the key components here, things like secure treasuries, transparent voting systems, and even ways to verify identity to prevent fraud, like someone creating a bunch of fake accounts to get more power. This isn't just a random list of software. It's a modular toolkit for building global organizations that can actually work without a central headquarters. The foundation for this future is literally being laid right now. Okay, so how does this all actually fit together? The really crucial thing to get is that this isn't just a random grab bag of cool tech ideas. It's designed to be a complete interconnected system where each part strengthens the others. So let's do a super quick recap of the whole vision. It starts with an ethical AI that serves you, that enables a new system of fair value, the worth metric, that rewards all kinds of contributions. With that, you can have fair governance like quadratic voting that values what you believe in, not just how much money you have. All this is built on a foundation of shared knowledge that can't be censored. And the end game? Using all of it for global coordination to solve real-world problems. And that really brings us to the final, and I think most powerful, question that this whole blueprint leaves us with. It really challenges us to look past the way things are now and ask, can we actually build an economy that's based on the positive impact we create and not just on profit?